Are live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Two Captains, One Pod.
Kind of pod we're in.
We are welcoming back this week the newly promoted, full-on Chief Engineer of the USS Kitty Hawk, Lieutenant Junior Grade Carter, no longer Ensign Carter.
Howdy,
Welcome back,
folks.
buddy. Our topic
it's good
this
to be
week, I've been ready to do this one for a while. What do you get when you take Steve Smith, Peter Griffin, and put them in a sci-fi wet dream? Possibly the greatest love letter to Star Trek ever. The Orville. And I've been watching the show for now my second run through.
Oh my god, you actually believe that?
It could be worse. It could be worse. I mean,
I
at
suppose
least
it
it's
could
not
be
an
season
SNL
8
bit.
It could be season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
No, even Jesus wanted nothing to do with that season.
God damn. But
God damn it,
let's
Facebook,
see.
stop it.
You get a whole cast of characters in this. It started off as something that was definitely going to be a comedy, and then just turned into Seth MacFarlane showing what he would do if he was given Shrek.
It started out.
Yeah, and quickly became not one. A lot of great alien species in there. Definitely some things that are not weren't typically thought of. Probably my favorite character is the Chilean on the Orville. I gotta go with her.
First one?
The first one.
Oh. Alara.
Yeah. I gotta go with the Laura. She's fun as hell. She really is. But I love the whole premise of the show. Steve Smith's actual wife, the actor that plays Steve Smith, who plays Gordon in this, his actual wife plays Seth MacFarlane, Peter Griffin, or Ed Mercer, the captain's ex-wife in the show, and now XO, executive officer, number one on the ship. And you gotta be comfortable in acting to be able to do that. But I know that that's just a lot of the fun that they get to have behind the scenes, and I would love to see a lot of these bloopers. I really would, based on that premise alone. I do have an article for us. No, it's not Screen Rant. Let me see. Let me get this. Yeah, I know. I tried like hell, but the Screen Rant articles kept pissing me off. It's actually from Cracked.com. The weirdest ship in the Fleet 15 trivia tidbits about Seth MacFarlane's The Orville. Written September 14th, 2023.
Like trivia
by
questions or?
No, it's not questions. It's just trivia tidbits about it. 15 of them. So we'll get into that in a minute. Probably the coolest thing about it is if you don't know where the name the Orville came from, you don't know aviation. The name Orville comes from Orville Wright, one of the Wright brothers. That is why on Ed Mercer's desk you see the model of the Wright brothers plane, the Wright Flyer, in the office, because ship, of course, named for Orville Wright. So let's get into this. I've been dying to read this for 2 weeks now, because I had it pulled up last week, and then we just ended up accidentally taking a week off that wasn't planned. So, yeah, here we go. The show with an episode that had more visual effects than Star Wars The Force Awakens as a whole. That's honestly impressive. Set in the 25th century, where humans and aliens explore space while blobs can talk, play guitar, and somehow bang, the Orville was an unexpected detour from Seth MacFarlane and one of the best Star Trek homages we've seen this side of Galaxy Quest. Funny enough, that's next week. Whether a 4-season or animated spin-off will ever happen is anyone's guess, and this, of course, was put out in 2023. We do have a confirmation for a 4th season in the works. But for 3 seasons, Trekkie MacFarlane fans were treated to an optimistic, somewhat odd, old-school sci-fi comedy world that's a MacFarlane once called it the opposite of the Hunger Games. 15 started off as a spec script. The untitled spec script was quickly snatched up by Fox and 20th Century Television. I've wanted to do something like this show ever since I was a kid, and the timing finally feels right, MacFarlane told Deadline about the show's first season. 20th Century Fox has been good to me for years, and of course, Fox heads Dana Walden and Gary Newman have been fantastic bosses and true pals, so it was a no-brainer to come to them with the project. 14 about the USS Orville's quantum drive. While Star Trek used its famous warp drive to power ships, the Orville went with the quantum drive, which, from a scientific point of view, presented some problems as the USS Orville is a massive ship moving faster than the speed of light, and quantum mechanics deals with the subatomic realm. Writer, producer, and scientific advisor Andre Bermanis explained how this particular choice stumped his scientific brain at first. In my mind, the premise behind the quantum drive is that we finally learned how to manipulate space-time at the quantum level. And that has led to the ability to travel faster than the speed of light. Whether that's in a little space-time bubble, so you're not violating special relativity, like the Cumbery drive, I have no idea. Nobody has any idea how a ship like the Orville could be built. It's going to require development of new physical principles and new technologies. And we don't have the language to describe that today. So basically, it's a future problem. Number 13 is Jon Favreau did much more than direct the pilot episode. Talking to Entertainment Weekly, the cast said that not only did Jon Favreau direct the pilot and serve as the show's executive producer, but he did some catering on set thanks to his amazing grilled cheese sandwiches and DJ'd the show's first wrap party. Apparently, he's pretty good behind the decks. Okay. I want to get more in depth about the show, but all right. How the practical model, the USS Orville, was created. Before filming the pilot episode, John and Seth were joking about building an actual model of their spaceship. I jumped at the chance, visual effects supervisor Luke McDonald revealed. In this day and age, visual effects supervisors shooting models is an unheard of thing to do, but something I was absolutely thrilled about. McDonald said that Glenn Derry, who's worked on The Jungle Book, The Lost World, and Avatar, built the practical model. We basically shot all of the miniatures of the Orville at 3 frames a second. He explained it was kind of like shooting in slow-mo with the motion control rig. And we did about 16 passes per shot, lights on, lights off, key lights, field light, backlight, ambient, etc. So when we got all the passes back, we composited them just like we would any kind of full CG shot from the model shoot. We ended up with about 25 individual shots of the Orville. It's a very time-consuming process, but it's very rewarding because of how many times you're going to have to reuse these elements to achieve completely new shots, even though it's from the same original motion control shoot. McFarlane's got more writing credits on The Orville than on Family Guy. McFarlane was the showrunner on Family Guy and therefore didn't get much time to join the writer's room and write the scripts. Here we had all 13 drafts written before we even started shooting, he says about The Orville. I was able to go off and write about 7 or 8 of them. That was a real joy. And I found that the genre was something that I was really comfortable in, actually even more so than hard comedy. Another show for each episode. This kind of is a Seth MacFarlane giveaway. Seth MacFarlane has always used full-piece orchestras for his shows, even Family Guy and American Dad. So this is kind of a Seth MacFarlane give. Each episode score uses about 75-piece orchestra with different composers at the helm. We score it like a movie. MacFarlane explained in an interview, I was thrilled with how many people caught that in a pilot on Twitter, so we got a lot of comments about the score, which is always very gratifying. We really put as much into that as we do into the effects. Number 9, an attempt to fill the void Star Trek left behind. While it's clear the show was heavily inspired by Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, MacFarlane has explained how the Orville differs and, in many ways, fills a gap. I miss the aspirational place Star Trek used to occupy. They've chosen to go in a different direction, he said, explaining that the direction in question is more of a dystopian nature. There is some space for aspirational, he continued, an attempt to fill that void. When further pushed on the subject why he felt like making a show that resembles the sci-fi of the 1990s and not today's science fiction, he said he missed the optimism of shows back then. I'm tired of being told everything is going to be grim and dystopian. I miss the hopeful side of science fiction. All the inspirations, besides the obvious Star Trek handprint, MacFarlane said that he also drew from the Twilight Zone to create a type of allegorical sci-fi, and that movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and even Deadpool showed that folks were ready for their sci-fi to come with some comedy. On working with Norm Macdonald. He was a genius, and he had this wonderful combination of seeming not to have prepared at all, but really having prepared exquisitely well. MacFarlane told Sci-Fi about working with Macdonald, who passed away following the production of season 3. And thus, he just makes it look so easy, when in fact, I'm sure he was working his ass off. MacFarlane continues saying that Macdonald was also just naturally a funny guy. When you have a day of recording voice actors on any show, it can get a little tedious after a while when you have a parade of them coming in one after the other. You just want to get through the day and get done and have a drink, and in a lot of cases, the actor will stick around and want to chit-chat for a while, and you go along with it. But in the back of your head, you're just like, can we please just get to the next one? I'm so tired. But with Norm, it was different. With Norm, he could stick around for 45 minutes or an hour afterward just talking, and I was there for every second of it. He was just an absolute gift, and I'm very grateful to have had the chance to be around him as much as I was. Filled with Star Trek alumni. Jonathan Frakes, Riker from TNG, Robert Duncan McNeil, Paris from Voyager, Brandon Braga, showrunner and producer of Voyager and other Star Trek titles, have all directed episodes of the series. That's not even mentioning the countless crew and actors worked on various Star Trek properties. I know the first one that appears, matter of fact, on screen at least, is Robert Picardo from Voyager as one of Alara's parents, her father. Number 5, the Orville fan production in 2020. Together Brothers Productions made an Orville film and a series called A Planetary Step about the adventures of the Planetary Union space crew aboard the USS Eisenberg. Number 4, the sheer amount of visual effects in Season 3. The production and release of the Orville New Horizons weren't just delayed by the pandemic, but also by the sheer amount of visual effects that went into the 3rd season. As director John Cassar put it, the original Star Wars had 300 effects. The Force Awakens had about 700 to 800, One of our episodes has 2,000. Those are all real numbers. Those are all from Brennan, and he knows because he worked on Force Awakens. Number 3, they considered doing an Orville cartoon. I think at one point during the pandemic, we had, out of desperation, said, look, what if we do a couple of episodes animated in the interim to hold people over? McFarlane has revealed. And there just wasn't an appetite for it. But again, it all depends on how the show is received. If it suddenly pops and people gravitate toward it, then anything is possible. Number 2, critics did not care for season 1. 31% of Rotten Tomatoes, but a 93% audience score. That's not anything new. We've seen Rotten Tomatoes get stuff wrong entirely. Look at some occult classic films. There was an apparent disconnect between critics and audiences' responses when the Orville dropped its first season back in 2017. Since then, viewer critics have been scoring the show's follow-up seasons over Rotten Tomatoes, but those reviews have all been positive. Hence the 100% scores, while audiences' scores have gone down, even though they remain fresh. In season 2, they had 100% by Rotten Tomatoes, 92% by audience score, and New Horizons had 100% with 83% by audiences. Number 1, why the show moved to Hulu. Executive producer David Goodman explained that McFarlane decided to move the show's third season to Hulu because he was feeling constrained narratively. One of the main reasons he wanted this moved to a streamer was to liberate us. Now the stories are the exact length they need to be. Fellow executive producer Brandon Braga added, that goes the same with the shooting. On most shows, you have the script assistant saying we are too long, get them to talk faster. It's not going to fit into the 42 minutes. Again, you don't have the constraint. When we fly into a planet, past seasons there were maybe 2 shots of us flying into a planet. Now there's 5 or 6. You need to see what the other worlds look like. The world building is better because you have time to do that. And that is our thing there. And honestly, that one kind of sucked compared to some of the others that I've gotten. Yeah, that article actually kind of sucked because I feel like I kind of got nothing from that.
I don't really think there was much to get from that.
I mean, pretty much everything that was just said, you can kind of get from the show. It's not, kind of feels like basic information.
Right.
So, yeah. But when going through articles to read about the Orville, it was mostly, why does the Orville suck? And it was like, I started reading some of those, and it was just a bunch of like Trek fans dissing the show because, well, it tried so much to be like Trek and it just failed. And it's like, are you really a Trek fan, or are you just trying to be a dick because you don't like that this is better than most of Trek that's come out since Next Generation? Again, it's got that next gen feel to it, and I love it for that. Plus, I know a lot of people stopped watching it after that first season. They were done with the first season. They were like, okay, well, that's it. Don't care anymore. And honestly, I feel the show really picks up, much like TNG, in its second and third seasons. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the fourth, considering the fourth was just announced to be in production, finally, from Seth MacFarlane. I think a week or 2 ago is when he announced the fourth season is in production. Yeah. But also, I mean, one, they had 4 colors for uniforms, where we haven't seen something like that since the Monster Maroons, where pretty much everybody got their own color. I thought it's kind of cool because it really differentiates who is who on the ship. Your blue is for command, your red is for security forces, orange is for operations and engineering, and the green is for your medical. And it's fucking cool, personally, to me. Because when you see them walking throughout the ship and you got the guys in the background, all your extras wearing a uniform, it's like, oh, cool. You can tell almost immediately what they are. Plus the designs on the badges, also separating who's what. It's kind of cool. With the engineering and operations, you get little gears on their thing. Security forces have a different logo. Command's got the little, what is it? It's kind of like a starburst pattern on it, little thing. And then medical with the generic little plus emblem. But it's still pretty cool, honestly. I've always been a fan of Seth MacFarlane. I think he does great work, personally. Family Guy is hilarious. American Dad's all right. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy American Dad. It's not as good as Family Guy to me, but I do watch it. We've always known that Seth MacFarlane is a Trekkie. That's been stated for the longest time. And we finally got to see him in the Star Trek universe with Enterprise. He appeared on, I think, 2 episodes of Enterprise as a background ensign, and he's been trying to get a hold of Star Trek, do something with Trek, and he's always kind of been told no. And so, he took matters into his own hand, and he really gave a good, I think personally, a love letter to Star Trek.
Yeah.
One of the best Trek shows without it being a Trek show. A hell of a lot better than Discovery. Hence why we're doing this instead of Discovery this week.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's not hard to be better than Discovery, though.
No, it's really not. I mean, I can't stand Enterprise, but I'd rather watch Enterprise than watch one episode of Discovery.
Even though you watched all of Discovery.
I haven't watched all of Discovery. Matter of fact, when we got to the point in Hannah's run through of Star Trek to watch Discovery, we got through 1 episode. And Hannah fought like hell through that episode. I mean, granted, I did too, because it just sucks. But Hannah fought like hell through that episode. And at the end of the episode, she's like, "Can we skip this?" And I said, yes, we can. So I have not seen all of Discovery. I saw the first 2 seasons. And then when they made the jump to the 30th century, I was like, cool, I'm out. Whatever. Don't care that you get to make your own story and it doesn't affect any of the rest of Star Trek from here on out. You've already fucked up enough. I'm good. So yeah, I haven't seen all of Discovery. And I probably won't.
But at the same time, it doesn't.
I have.
Because the Discovery does play in to what was that?
You talk about Strange New Worlds?
Yeah, it plays into an episode in Strange New Worlds.
Well, not just an episode, but it also sets up Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Doesn't it also play into Section 31 too?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. And we also know how. Yeah, I was about to say we also know how Section 31 went, I mean, I also dread making that video, that podcast episode for Section 31.
I've only seen it once, and that's all I'm willing.
I watched 30 minutes of it and turned it off.
See, I'm not even willing to watch it. Like, as soon as they announced it, I was like, you know, there's this new Star Trek movie. It's going to be Section 31. Okay, that sounds cool. We've known about Section 31 for a while. This is going to be great. The captain of the original captain of Discovery, or Michael Burnham's original captain, is going to be in it. Oh no, done. Yeah, like that. That's all I had to do. I saw the trailer and I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm not even going to try it. I'm not going to give it shit. Because hell, technically, that should already. We should have already watched that one too.
See, I gave it a shot purely because I like the lore around Section 31, but that movie shit on it so hard.
It's a decent.
Yeah.
It's a decent movie. It's not a good Star Trek movie. Like, it's a pretty decent action movie as far as action movies, but it is not a good Star Trek.
Remove Star Trek from anything inside of it, and it's a great.
Well, they kind of tried to even hide it. Like, it's like the Star Trek is very small in that in actual title design. If you look at it, like, Star Trek is very, very small.
Yeah. And see, I think that's where they fucked up. Honest to God, I think that's where they fucked up. They're like, we're gonna make a Star Trek movie, but we don't want to give it any Star Trek about it. We're not even really gonna put it in the fucking title. When people ask about this movie, they're gonna say Section 31. They're not gonna say Star Trek Section 31. They're just gonna say Section 31. But again, that's a different topic for a different fucking day. Because we'll tear that movie apart. I have no problem tearing that movie a new one. On Norm Macdonald playing Yaphet, I was honestly so surprised to hear Norm Macdonald's voice on the Orville. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with his character come season 4. Because yeah, you know, it's a bit of a crush that we lost Norm Macdonald, probably one of the greatest comedians of the early '90s. Seen him on movies with Adam Sandler, Billy Madison, probably his best one. He also appeared in what's the other one where he plays a spoiled rich kid that's got to go back to school? He does that same premise in 2 movies.
Every movie that Norm Macdonald is in?
No, I'm talking about the other Adam Sandler film that Norm Macdonald's in. Because he's in 2 of them. It's not Mr. Deeds. Anyway, Norm Macdonald, hilarious fucking dude.
Fuck, what is that? It's not Happy Gilmore. It's Billy Madison.
Right, yeah. He's in Billy Madison, but he's also in another one, and I'm trying to remember what the other one is. But yeah, loved him in Billy Madison. Absolutely loved him in Billy Madison. Dude was on SNL for a while with Adam Sandler, and then came back to do SNL a few times. Always enjoyed Norm Macdonald's work. He played the genie on Fairly Odd Parents. The genie that would try to corrupt Timmy Turner's wishes, at least in the Fairly Odd Parents when we were kids. I don't know about current Fairly Odd Parents, but he's been around for a while. Hilarious dude, and his passing kind of hurt me little bit. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with his character Yaphet in the season 4. If we're just going to get a generic, if they're going to kill him off, if they're going to give us a goodbye, send Yaphet on about his way, whatever. But yeah, Hannah's been watching the show for the first time with me, and she's been like, okay, I see where this was directly taken from Star Trek. It's like, oh, the majority of the show was, but yeah. She's been enjoying the hell out of it. Probably her favorite part is Steve Smith's wife is playing Seth MacFarlane's ex-wife, which is a hilarious trope to get over. Some of the world building planets they go to, especially in that first season, some of the laws that are done, it sounds so fucking hilarious, but then you look at what's going on in today's world, and it's like, that's not as far-fetched as it used to be, and it's not funny anymore. 2017, this shit was a joke. 2025, it's not a joke. We just watched the episode where they go down to the planet where people upvote or downvote you, and if you get too many downvotes, you can't get certain things, you can't go to certain places, and you could even be killed for having too many downvotes. And it's like, that was hilarious to me in 2017. That was so far-fetched, such a fucking joke almost 10 years ago. It's not funny now. It's scary now because it's so close to what is truly going on. You want to get technical? And that's another thing that I love about the Orville is Star Trek has always been really good at commentating and making us think about things in a certain way. And Seth MacFarlane really played into that very well when he made the show. And I think it's what really helps in the fact of calling this a love letter to Star Trek. Jesus Christ. Thing sucks. You guys got anything?
Nothing I can think.
For the Orville, no. Nothing that I can say on in polite company.
When has this ever been polite company?
I'm trying a different tact lately, okay?
Turning over a new leaf?
Yeah.
I give it 10 seconds.
That's what your wife said, too.
Didn't even take 10 seconds.
That's what your wife said, too.
Not a matter of if.
I said
Okay.
I was trying. I didn't say I was successful about it.
All right. You can take one person. Replace one person on the Orville with anybody in Star Trek. Who are you replacing and why?
For me, it's got to be Ed Mercer.
Okay. You get to take anybody off of the Orville and replace them with someone from Star Trek. Any Star Trek ever. Who are you taking off the Orville? Who are you replacing them with, and why?
Yeah, I'm sticking with my answer of Ed Mercer.
Who are you replacing him with?
I'm replacing him with Kirk, obviously, but specifically Kirk from Strange New Worlds.
And why?
My reasoning behind that is because I feel like Mercer doesn't take his position seriously. You know, the captain's whole job is to be the one to make those hard decisions and then live with them afterwards. To find a way to still be true to the letter of what you're doing, but also being serious to the job.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it just doesn't feel like Mercer is that way. He acts the fool all the time, and he always has to be saved by somebody else on his crew. Be it his XO, Bortus, or whoever is saving him. Not only that, but a lot of the time, he bumbles into situations that he could have very easily gotten himself out of in the beginning.
That's fair. But why that specific Kirk and not seasoned Captain TOS Kirk?
Because seasoned Captain TOS Kirk he's a little too intense for me. I like the Strange New Worlds of he's still in that point of trying to find exactly what his command style is. He's not too serious to where he's seen all of that trauma, so he's still able to connect with the crew and everything, which is what a captain should do. But he's also still in that spot of questioning his own decisions. Yeah, I made this decision, but why did I make this decision? Was there another way I could have gone? Whereas TOS Kirk makes the decision and says, fuck the consequences, fuck the reasoning, I did it because I'm Captain Kirk, and I can. He's too full of himself. He's got, and that's perfectly fine, because that is his reputation at that point. He's gotten to the point where he can say, fuck you, I'm Captain Kirk, we're going to do it. And everybody goes, all right, cool, let's go for it. But at the same time, the whole point, like I said, the whole point of a captain is make those decisions, but it's also to realize just because you can doesn't mean you should tell your whole crew, we're going to do it my way.
Right.
That's not the point of a captain. Yours is to lead, but it's also to set an example. Take advice from your crew, and I feel like that's what this Strange New Worlds Kirk does. He's still in that point of taking the advice of everybody else, looking at Captain Pike, looking at
Spock.
What's her name?
Una?
Yes, Una Chin Riley. He's taking all of their advice and their experiences and crafting them to help him become the best captain he can be.
Right. Okay. John, do you have an answer yet?
Gordon Malloy with Wesley Crusher, and I think we.
Oh God.
Because you're a bitch.
You're a bitch.
Is it because on this ship Wesley wouldn't be told to shut the fuck up all the time?
That too. I think I'd enjoy hearing Seth MacFarlane say, "Shut the fuck up, Wesley."
That's funny. That's fair. I would take. I have two answers.
Plus, Gordon would have like a buddy cop relationship with fucking Riker.
Oh fuck yeah! If we did it vice versa, fuck yeah. I would take Bortus and swap him out with Worf. For kind of the same reasons Carter just said. Mercer, especially the first season, is not the best at being captain, and I think that would get under Worf's skin so goddamn much he'd just, he'd beat the shit out of him, and I think, and I would find that just absolutely fucking hilarious. I would, probably die laughing at that episode. And it would be funny as shit to watch Amanda or the XO try to calm Worf down, because she takes that role of trying to calm people down when they're pissed off on the ship. Furthermore, I'd also like to see, because we see Bortus and Alora, kind of have those moments where they, spar on the holodeck. And I know it's not called the holodeck, but fuck it, that's what we're calling it right now. I would love to watch Worf's, because remember, we all remember Deep Space Nine and how Worf fell head over heels with Jadzia because she could kick his ass and hold her own. I would love to see the same thing with Alora and Worf. Watch Worf just go, what the fuck? This bitch could lift 10 times what I can, and she's 10 times smaller than me. I must fuck it. There are several reasons to take Mortis away and give him Worf.
No, see, here's the question, though. Which Worf?
Season 3 Worf. Season 3 Worf for sure.
Oh? Worf's been in a bunch of different ones.
Well, season 3 of TNG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Give me season 3 TNG Worf, because that's the dude that's still, I know my culture. I know I am Klingon. I must rage. But he's also, I'm Starfleet. Don't worry. I can hold my weapon at a lower angle till they can't see it. So I want hothead Worf. I really do.
Worf's just the barbarian of the D&D party.
Fucking literally.
I must rage.
My second answer is take our lovely doctor from the Orville and replace her with Dr. McCoy. And I'm talking TOS Dr. McCoy. And I'll tell you why. The amount of shit she has to put up with, okay? When it comes to Dr. McCoy in the original series, he, honest to God, doesn't have to put up with that much shit, okay? He really doesn't. The only two that give him fucking grief is his best friend and the captain, Kirk, and his frenemy, Spock. And it drives him nuts. You give him a full ship of people, oh my God, you're going to get the best fucking crash out of all fucking time out of Dr. McCoy. And he's a Southern boy, so he's going to say some shit you don't understand, and it's going to make me laugh my ass off.
I see your Dr. McCoy, and I raise you Dr. McCoy from the 2009 Star Trek movies.
That would also be a fun one.
Purely because I want him to look at Bortus and go, God damn it, Bortus, I'm a doctor, not a Clinton, not whatever. And Bortus just looks at him and goes, I see.
That's exactly what would fucking happen. I see. Fuck. There would be.
That Carter.
Yeah, Carter came back.
Another one I want to see is not so much removing. Hi, Hannah. Not so much removing, but adding in would be La'an, bringing her in up against Allura.
La'an, I would 100% would make Allura cry, but Allura would just have to touch her and she would humble La'an in a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even for that so much as it is while Allura hasn't gone through the same level of trauma as La'an, Allura has her own level of trauma, and I feel like they'd be able to bond over that to a certain extent, and then watch as the two of them take over the ship. Because God help anybody who decides to step outside the rules.
That is also true. You know what? You've got a hell of a fucking point. They're both security officers.
They're both security officers who can kick every person on that ship's ass, and the only thing holding them back from doing so is their duty. Because if they had their option, they would literally chain every single one of those idiots to their stations and say, "You are not allowed to move unless I say so."
Yeah. And it'd be hot. It'd be really hot. I'm not gonna lie. I would.
Dude, get your mind out of the gutter. Come on.
Fuck
Yes,
you. Fuck you.
Yes. I get it. Yes, we are Task Force HR, but come on, man.
Okay, but two dummy mommies just fucking it up around the galaxy. Like I want, like, and at that point in time, if we add La'an, fuck the Orville, give La'an and Allura their own show at that point in time, and I'd watch the fuck out of that.
We know you would watch it. We all know you would watch it, but we're not talking about one of your Orville Star Trek fan fiction writings, okay? We don't need to know your sexual fantasies.
I'm not saying it's a sexual fantasy, but at the same time, AO3, bullshit. You know what to
do. Bullshit. That's like saying Texas isn't hot. That's like saying it's not raining. There's not a massive monsoon season every year in the Philippines.
I decline to answer that.
Of course you do, because you know that I'm right.
But I'm surprised none of us, though, said that they would replace the Exo or Isaac, our little robot friend.
That's because I do my best not to think about Isaac because I really don't like him. For me, Isaac is a lot like Bashir from Deep Space Nine.
I love Isaac.
Well, you know, you are Mr. Hot Take. So, okay, go more into depth on why Isaac is a lot like Bashir.
Because he's just so goddamn uppity. He knows he's the smartest person on the ship, and instead of trying to help people along, instead of trying to help people understand what's going on, he just goes and says, "Fuck you." Yeah. And I get that he's a robot, and I get that he's still learning that level of human empathy and everything. But to me, it feels like he lords it over everyone.
He definitely does, at least in the first season.
Yeah, he delights in the pleasure that he gets from knowing that everyone around him is a stupid monkey compared to him. And that's a lot of what Bashir was like, too, with his genetically altered brain and everything. Yeah, we didn't learn about it until later on, but you could, when you do finally learn about it, you look back at the beginning and start seeing things that make a little bit more sense towards it, of how he always seemed to have the right answer at the time where it didn't make any sense for him to have an answer. I mean, he's a doctor. What the hell is he doing in any sort of capacity of a tactical situation? The man should not have any sort of say in tactical plans.
That's fair. But I will say the things I do like about Isaac though are when he finds out about stuff in human culture that he doesn't know, such as like practical jokes. And he takes off Gordon's fucking leg and then hides it.
And I will say he does have his moments. Even Bashir had moments where I can give him the credit. But it's just, for me as a whole, Isaac was, and that might be how his character is meant to be, but it feels wrong. It feels like like they're trying too hard with him. And
That's fair.
when it comes to Kelly, I don't have a problem with her because she's a lot like Una is.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing the best she can in a situation where she's got to decide between being the XO and being the captain's friend. Because at the start of it, there's that tension of, hey, we used to be married, now we're not married, and we have to work together, and it's a little awkward. But over the course of the show, because don't get me wrong, I have watched all of the Orville up to where we are now, waiting for season 4. But
right,
to me, it's just she plays her part well because she's balancing that line of trying to lead him in the right way without dragging him by the nose and going, this is what you need to do. Do it.
Right.
She gives him that rope, just enough rope to say, okay, I got to pull you back now, but I'm still going to give you the option of realizing it first.
Right.
And a lot of what Kelly does is the right way to do things. She tries her best to think through the first contact situations. Even during the one where they land on the planet where your birth month decides whether or not you're going to be some violent sort of killer or whatever.
Right.
She could have very easily broken out of that camp and left, just her and Bortus, and that would have been it. Instead, she stayed to get the people out because that's what her job is.
Right.
She had enough empathy to realize, hey, there's nothing actually wrong with these people. It's the government that has the problem. They're seeing isolated incident and taking the whole for what it is. And that's what I really like about her. That's why I wouldn't take her from the show, because I feel like taking her out not only destabilizes the crew, but it also gives the chance for more mishaps. Because now unless you're planning on replacing her with either Unachin Riley or somebody that has that level of backbone, but also knows when to bend and when to stay strong. And I don't feel like there's a lot of characters that could be brought over from Trek to do that same position.
That's fair. Now, next question is, you could put them in any Star Trek uniform or leave them in the uniforms they have. What uniform are you giving them?
Are we giving to the whole Orville or just to specific people?
To the whole Orville.
The 2009 Star Trek uniforms.
The 2009 ones? Okay.
Because it goes back. It goes back to what you were saying earlier about the 4 different uniform colors. It differentiates them through showing the different paths that you can take. You have the yellow for command, you have the red for security, you've got the blue for the science officers. And yeah, now we don't have the fourth color for the doctors, but having that entire science division underneath one color, not to mention the way they pop. I really like the way it looks. It kind of looks like a cross between a scale mail and a chain mail kind of shirt looking. The shine to it, but it also has that like hexagonal shape to it.
See, I would probably go with if I were to change the uniforms, I would probably go Beyond's uniform. Not the blue that we got throughout the Captain Kirk and Chekhov wear throughout the majority of it, but the newer, sleeker uniform style that we get the very beginning and the very end with the three colors. That or the Strange New Worlds uniform, because both of those, again, they just fucking pop so goddamn well. They really do.
Yeah.
But I think you already know what uniform I'm gonna say.
You're gonna put them in the Monster Maroon.
Oh, of course.
Yep. Everybody knew that was coming.
And actually, technically, they've got 5 colors, because if you look at the admirals, their fleet officers all wear purple. If you could put a Trek, I only do because one of them is Lawrence Fishburne and then the other one is Martin Stein. So
Well, of course,
you've got a couple more.
Of course, but I don't really care for their fleet officers. They're all stupid. How they got to their positions is a miracle in and of itself.
They're all Admiral. What was her?
Oh fuck!
I know who you're talking about.
Why'd you have to do this to me? Yeah, right.
Admiral Nechayev. That really.
At least they're not Jericho.
Admiral.
At least they're not Jericho, or Jellicoe, whatever the fucking thing is.
Fuck that.
Yeah. At least they're not like that.
I think we're all collectively agreement on that one.
Vice versa, though, if you could put any Trek crew in their uniforms, which crew would you give the Orville uniform?
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, honestly. I was thinking the same fucking thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the black and gray Deep Space Nine uniform or the TNG movie uniform. But I think Deep Space Nine could definitely benefit from the Orville uniform.
It just feels bland. Their uniforms just feel bland, And the whole of Star Trek, we always get the pop of colors of the reds, the blues, the yellows, the whatever. And the only real pop of color you get, ironically enough, is from the Bajoran side.
Right. And even then, it's usually just... Yeah.
You get Major Kira in that red outfit that she's got. You get Rom in his gray and green, which I think really worked together nicely and well. But then you look at the actual Starfleet crew, their uniforms, and the only real color you get is that tiny little bit right at the neck. It's basically kind of like what what are they called? The Dickies. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
That little half kind of like turtleneck thing. That's the only real pop of color you ever see on any of them.
That, and then of course a little bit around the wrist, on the wristband.
Right.
Yeah.
But also with my next question, I'm also going to go Deep Space Nine. Which Trek era do you think fits the Orville crew better? Like if you were to switch them entirely, the casts entirely, where would you put the Orville crew in Star Trek? I'm going to go Deep Space Nine yet again. I'll tell you why Deep Space Nine. It just feels like, because the way the crew already interacts with each other throughout the entirety of the show, up until where we're at right now, it already feels like they're on a space station anyways. Like, it's not really a ship. It's a space station that they're flying instead of flying a ship. So I think they'd benefit from being in Deep Space Nine.
I would go a crossbreed.
Okay.
Taking parts of Deep Space Nine and parts of Strange New Worlds. Because yes, Deep Space Nine was the space station. It was more about the for lack of a better way of saying it, the space drama, you know, the dramatized ability time of living on a space station and everything. But I would take some of the fighting sequences and things that Strange New Worlds had to go through, because I can see, you know, how the crew of the Orville would kind of operate through those different problems that Strange New Worlds had. You know, kind of the episode where Pike rushes to the planet to save what's her name? Marie. When she's
right.
when you know when they all get trapped on whatever that world is, for the life of me I can't think of the name of it at this moment. And for some reason my brain is picking Beta, and I know that's wrong. But those moments I can.
So that's fair. No, I honestly totally agree.
I feel like those moments would really help to let the Orville's crew shine, because there's so many different opinions, there's so many different points of view, that you could have more chances to get out of that conflict a little bit better. That's not to say that I don't like the way Strange New Worlds did it, because I do. I loved that episode. It was one of my absolute favorites. Seeing Pike rushing to the woman he loves after realizing, holy shit, I love this woman. I can't be without her. I'm going to save her. Damn what Starfleet says. Damn what my ship says. We're going. And I could see a lot of the Orville's crew doing that too, if it was Ed and Kelly. If Kelly was the one trapped on that planet, that you know there's nothing that Ed wouldn't do to go and save her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's going to have a crew that's going to back him up and say, okay, let's slow down for a minute, you know, let's try and think about this logically. Yeah, I get you're pissed. Yeah, I get you want to go to her. But what's it going to fix if you get trapped with her?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of that didn't happen with Pike and everything because of, once again, his reputation. Pike has gotten to a point of reputation where his crew would follow him into the depths of hell and not ask any questions. But we don't, for the point that we're at right now, we don't ever see how he got to that point.
Right.
You know, and we have with Ed. We've seen him get to that point of his crew trusting his word, his crew saying, damn the consequences, let's go.
Right.
But we've also seen Ed turn around and go, I don't know what the hell to do here. Let's sit down and figure this out together.
And with that, we're going to have to end it here. John's got something he's got to take care of. So sorry, guys, 1 hour episode, but hey, we're all back. So
Yep.
we're going to be back next week with Galaxy Quest, another good Star Trek-esque episode. Before we get back into Star Trek with Discovery, we will talk about it, unfortunately. But thanks for joining us for the small, short episode we had this week. This is Captain Yarble signing off.
And Captain Hudson signing off.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Carter signing off.